Attention shoppers! We don't like you. We like your money. But not you. Enjoy your shopping.
Greed supersedes in Wario Land 4, only for Game Boy Advance.
Jeez. Dark.
He's such a jerk.
He's a jerk. Hey, everybody. What are you doing and where are you? Well, I'll tell you. You're listening to Play Retro. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and I think Wario is the greatest secondary character in the entire pantheon of Mario characters. Why? Because he's gonna win.
He's gonna win. He's gonna win.
Yeah.
And I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, and I am no Mario, but if I were, I would get all beefy, steal his girl, and acquire my own castle full of minigames and hate.
Yeah.
Viva la Wario! I'm better than Mario in almost every single way, except the part where Shigeru Miyamoto loves me. Love me, Papa. Love me.
He'll never love you like your brother or like your opposite.
No.
A doppelganger, whatever you want to call him. This is, Wario is great because Wario represents the first of these where you have kind of a alternate dirty universe version of the main characters, right? And I don't know, like right. Mario's got Wario, Luigi's got Waluigi. I don't know what Peach and Toad and them, they don't have like dark versions of themselves, which is unfortunate.
I think I was trying to figure that out. I started playing Wario Land 4, and I think maybe, just maybe, the cat, Shikora is Peach's kind of like flip side.
It's her alter ego.
I haven't confirmed that. I'm just saying, as I was playing the game, things were shaping up.
Yeah.
Like a maybe.
Like a maybe.
She's a princess of Peach.
Okay. She's the princess of Peach. All right. Well, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk all about the Wario games, their humble beginnings on the Game Boy, black and white, then color, then GBA, and then beyond. But we're really going to top out at 4 for our discussion.
Beyond color? So what we got, like plaid?
Well, beyond GBA, but it's a good point. What's beyond color?
Right.
Plaid.
I'm assuming we get into the 3-dimensional parts, maybe.
Sure. You're going beyond a human's ability to reckon with it. I know that. Right, so we're going to try to reckon with it now on this show. Before we do, though, a couple things, retro things we've been up to. I've been playing a ton of Ninja 5.0.
Is that like ninjas that are cops?
Kind of.
Riding around in Mustangs?
And now I did one Guess My Game year and a half ago or something where that was the game. And I'd forgotten how much I love Ninja 5.0. And so when it was recently announced that Konami was bringing it to Steam and GOG and I think other PC platforms in a widescreen sort of up-resed version of it, they're not redoing it. It's still going to be kind of pixelated and stuff, but it's originally a GBA game. It's one of the most underrated GBA games ever. Maybe one of the most underrated like sprite-based games ever. And it's as cheesy as it sounds. You're a ninja doing cop stuff. And it's coming to Steam, and I can't wait. So in the meantime, I've just been nonstop playing that on my in this case, my Steam Deck. Yeah, it's great. You should play it, Brian. Ninja 5.0. Get it.
I'm signed up now. I mean, because when I see Ninja 5.0, all I can think of is Vanilla Ice. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. And then he talks about
5.0.
Riding down with his 5.0 and stuff, talking about his Mustang, and it's just all Vanilla Ice. Well, as a matter of fact, everything is Vanilla Ice.
All comes back to it. All of it comes back to it. We were talking pre-show. If you're not a patron, you're going to want to get this. So sign up today and get it. But we had a whole discussion on the pre-show about Tang and how Tang never had a mascot. Now I think that you're onto something here, that Vanilla Ice could have been a flavor and a mascot for Tang.
Could have been a flavor. And plus, we learned so much about Tang history and the other products that the guy who made Tang made. Didn't know that. That was wild stuff.
Yeah, Pop Rocks, Jell-O, Tang. I mean, the guy was a genius, but none of his products had freaking mascots, and I think that's a problem.
Nope. I think it's a problem. I think he was anti-mascots. I think he was the Bill Watterson of food products.
That is a good, deep cartoonist cut. I like that, what you did there. Mm-hmm. That was really good.
I knew you'd get it.
What else you been up to?
You
been doing some retro this week?
what a perfect time. One of the reasons why I wanted to do when I was so excited about seeing that we were going to do the Wario is because I got my epilogue or my epilady. No, epilogue.
Epilady,
right.
got it. Close shave without all the irritation. That's what you're going for. I gotcha.
That's exactly right. But I picked up, I had ordered this a while back, and it's epilogue, and it's called the Game Boy Operator, GB Operator. And what it does is it allows you to take your original Game Boy format, whether that be your Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance, and you can plug them right in this little bay here, which I did with Wario Land 3 this week. This is the Japanese version. And what I did was I can dump the ROM, but more importantly, I can dump the save. And that was the reason why I started this project, is I've got a whole bunch of Pokemans, and their batteries are slowly dying, and my saves are slowly dying, and that makes me super sad. The only way to fix that is to replace the battery that's inside this. And when you do that, when you pull the battery, you lose all your saves. So this Game Boy Operator allows me to dump my saves, replace the battery, and then replace the saves.
This is magical, dude. This is magical shit. Yeah. I'm impressed. I didn't know you could do this with that same device. I'd heard of this device before. I think it was you talking about it. But I didn't know it was capable of save dumps. That's great.
Yeah, that was the whole purpose. I mean, ROM dumps is nice and all, but I mean, you can find most of these ROMs anywhere, but the saves you can't. And I've been getting more and more games off eBay, and I'm hesitant to play them because lots of times the saves are all full, and I don't want to write over with my dumb save for people who have went through and almost completed the game. I'm like, what a shame to do that. So I back up all the game saves when I get these things in. And
that is funny. So you're backing up somebody else's saves they're never going to have access to those saves. They're never going to get them from you. You're not going to reach out and somehow find the people whose saves they were. Yet you just can't let it die. And there's something interesting about that.
Right.
Like you're preserving a save state that somebody worked hard for. They got almost to the end of the game. It's like this thing that will never happen again until you make your own save go that far. You just can't let that kind of human effort die.
You can't let it go, man, because what a sad I mean, time invested. Lots of times when gamers play games, sometimes you'll get near your, you get past the passion of the playing, and you kind of look back and go, what'd I really do? Did I just waste a whole bunch of time? And that's the good thing about Pokemon games, and especially Game Boy games. People are very attached to their Game Boy saves.
Game Boys are great.
And
I understand. I love my Game Boy stuff. I would like my saves back, but nobody thought to do that like you are, Brian. You're like a gentleman Bronco here.
I'm a gentleman.
Yes, look at him.
Right.
So honestly, this could happen. Somebody's on their sick bed. They're not dying, but they're like, I know these saves are out there. I sold this on eBay in May of 2023. Can someone please track, in my dying breath, please track down this man who acquired my Japanese version of Wario 3 and get my saves back and give it to my kids? Like, I don't know. There's just something to that. I need my saves. Well, there's a real, so we talk about this a lot of times why we do play retro. Part of it is because we play games we never played before, and part is because did it hold up? And the other part is nostalgia. And is there anything that feels better for an individual than to pick up a game and pick right up where they left off? And that is just like another level of nostalgia. And for some reason, I feel like it's important to somebody, and therefore I can't just let it die, even though it's not necessarily important to me, but it is like an interesting peek into what people where they stopped at. It's not any different, I think, than finding an anonymous letter that was written in the 1800s, and you can see that it's done in this old quill ink and everything, and it doesn't have a name. You don't know who it belongs to, but you're not going to throw that away. You're going to hang on to that shit, and you'll probably never know. You're going to die and not know. People might think it's yours after you're dead. You better leave some good documentation saying, these weren't my saves, they were someone else's.
These saves are valuable, but not because of me.
Yeah, I love it. Game Save Preservation Society. The Wraith has a great name for this new organization.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right. Well,
make those available maybe I'll make those available for people to download too. If you guys wanted to, if you're playing some of these games, you want to hop in and see where, somebody left off. I already do this kind of with a lots of times when I get a VHS, that's one of the fun things about a VHS is there's a clear mark of where somebody stopped watching. And I like to make a little note, like, it stopped here.
I love that.
Person took it out.
Have you seen a weird one? Anything weird where they stopped at a like really crucial moment in like the Matrix or something or whatever?
I have not seen that yet, but the funniest one was we watched that Chuck Norris movie where they're pretending like they're priest.
Oh yeah,
film sack, and I had the VHS of that.
What's that called?
And it's I can't remember off the top of my head.
Punchy Mick.
I had it around here somewhere.
Punchy Mick. Something.
But the point is this: they stopped at a very annoying scene, and I didn't know if it was an annoying scene until I watched the whole movie. But I made note. I was like, okay, I put it in. I played that. I started playing, and I was like, okay, so this is where this person either ran out of time or was fed up with the movie. I like making little stories.
Yeah, because they may have bailed right then. That's when they just took off. Right. You know, they're like, this movie sucks, or maybe that's when the cops came banging at the door and they were all hiding their weed and they had to turn off the VHS because the weed had to be hidden. You know,
right? Yeah. And when I was watching it, I was like, I made a mark, and then I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see cutting it off right here.
Yeah,
I'd be the same way. I'm like, this is a dumb spot. I'm done watching this movie. Click.
Yeah, I cannot remember the name of this movie, but that's awesome. I love that idea, and that's what
Firewalker.
Because
I remember making, I remember making jokes about a Walker Ranger, Texas Ranger.
Oh, Firewalker, Texas Ranger. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. That's totally it. That movie kind of sucks. It's not very good. Just gonna put it out there.
It's not great, but it's fun.
I wouldn't have bailed. I wouldn't have bailed like your VHS, but I would have. That's the last time I'd see it if I were them. You know.
I watched it in the most appropriate format, by the way. Yeah,
indeed, VHS, of course. Well, anyway, that's great. I think that's awesome that you're doing this kind of preservation, and also just makes it so your own saves are saved and you can move on. Yeah. Is there a way? Well, this may be. Oh, you can probably answer this. If let's say I have a game like Advance Wars on my GBA, battery's dying. Right. I know this isn't a GBA dumper, but if it was.
Right.
Or let's just say it's
it does GBA.
That does GBA? Okay. So let's say it's a GBA game. I put that in there because I can tell my watch battery in there is going to take a dump. I'm going to lose these saves. Can those saves be put into a save format that I can then bring over into my EMU deck install or any other kind of like RetroArch setup or whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's actually some utilities that I'm using right now that allows you to save out to different save formats. So absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So you can, there's the standard save, but then you can convert it to different emulator saves. So yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty rad. I like it. Yeah, I like where you're at with this. This is cool. So anyway, more on that as time passes. But in the meantime, we got to talk about Wario.
Shall we play a game?
He's going to win for a reason. It's Wario, everybody. It's a bad boy, badass. And before the WarioWare games, before the WarioWare games came along and kind of stole all the thunder out of this ancillary characters' game life, there were these games prior to it, which were platformers, but with some twists. And it all started with Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3 is the technical full name of the thing. So there was Super Mario Land 1 and 2. They were basically like, hey, we're putting Mario on Game Boy. Those games were there, very Mario-like. Black and white, no color yet. And then comes the third one, and they're like, hey, for this third one, we're going to get weird. Kind of like they did with Super Mario World, because World 2 is Yoshi's Island, and it's a very different game. So they have some tradition of doing this. And they pop in there with these. 1994 is the year, and it's the first in the series. I have to admit, I kind of thought it would be the weakest of the bunch. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
I was the same. I never played any of these Wario Land games. I already owned the Super Mario Land 2, where Wario is the bad guy and he first shows up. And I enjoyed that game, but I never played any of the Wario Lands. And I liked the theme and the variation change. And I'm with you. This was stood up a lot better than I thought it would, because it's got all the basics of what you're what you're hoping for.
It's everything that these games would. Yeah, whatever these games are going to be, this had pieces of all of it. So the charging mechanic where he would bust through things. You know, the whole concept here is Mario would do precision jumping in kind of an elegant way. Even when he's landing on creatures' heads, it's kind of like a little boop and moving on and getting a little coin out of the deal and that sort of thing. Wario's like, I'm going to break through everything and bust stuff and crack walls and find hidden doors and all that sort of thing. And so that's what he did.
I'm gonna collect some hats, and I'm gonna be a bull. I'm gonna jet around the screen, and I'm not. The main thing was I'm not Mario.
No, yeah, right? Exactly.
I'm not some frail Mario piece of poo. I am a Wario, and I am gonna shoulder punch my way through half of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna win. Literally, he's gonna win. He can also pick up power. Oh, we just saw him do it. He picks up power-ups. I was just going to mention this, and he just did it. He's got a little dragon power-up where he changes his hat. So he's got a little bit of Kirby in him. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Mechanically speaking.
And we see later in Odyssey, right? When we start having Mario do a lot of his hat shit.
Yeah, that's true. So, in fact, if Wario could say something in an interview, he'd probably say, he stole my idea.
You're right. I'm talking about who's the bad guy now? Why is he a pirate? I don't know.
I don't know either. I have a problem when I do this. I make him pirates.
He fights Pirate Duck here, which I love. I love the opening scene. It sucked me in right away with Wario like on a little float. If you remember what happened at the end of 2 in Mario Super Mario Land 2, basically, you know, Mario runs Wario off because he was trying to steal his castle. You know, he was popping a squat and he's like, get out of here, squatter. And so Wario shows up on a little tube, and, you know, he wants the whole quest here is for Wario to get his own castle this time around. And so he's like in a little donut, a floating donut, essentially.
Yep.
And he's chasing this duck around. It's a pirate. And so there's some pirate stuff going on, and I love it.
It's all very dumb and great.
It's so much fun.
Here's what this game sounded like. It's got a really good rockin' tune here. You know, mischievous, very, very Wario-like in terms of him getting in trouble and causing mayhem and all that.
Yeah.
But I think the first one set the template pretty strong, and it wouldn't be until the WarioWare games came along that the thunder really got taken, and it took them a while to do one of these again after that. But the Wii had a game. I think 3DS had a Wario game. I may have that wrong.
That might be a lot of them. And there was the Wii had a great one as far as gimmicks go.
Had a name.
That was the Shake one. I think Wario Shake.
Yeah, Wario Shake. And a lot of people thought, wait, this isn't like the WarioWare games. I'm like, yeah, they're very different genre. This is back to the platforming shit. And I didn't like its reliance on the stick or on the Wiimote.
Yeah, on the Wiimote.
But that was a problem with a lot of games in that time, so that's why I didn't really get into it. But I was a big fan of the series leading up to it.
You would shake the Wiimote, and it was a nice little useful gimmick for the Wiimote. Yeah, and it had more in common with the Wario Land stuff than it did any of the other parts of the series.
The Shake Dimension. That's what it was called. The Shake Dimension.
The Shake Dimension. That's right.
Which sounds like a great place on a weekend to go take a girl and get a burger and fries and a shake. You know,
and a shake.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's always trying to that's one thing I like about Wario. He's always world level, right? He's always trying to mimic the kingdom. You know, he's always trying to take over what Mario. He's always like looking towards Mario and setting his standards by what Mario does. Yep. It's like, well, I could have a castle.
Yeah.
Why not?
He's a spite character.
Me?
He's a spite character.
Right. Yeah.
He's literally made in spite of Mario, and he does it with contrasting colors that would never go with red or blue. We got yellow and purple. Terrible combo. He's got a big red nose. His mustache is all shitty. Yeah. He's got crazy teeth, and he's got little pointy shoes. Like in every way, he's trying to be the thing he wants to be, and he just cannot do it. He can't be that thing because he's this. Yeah. He's this.
And in this one, in the first one, this is a Game Boy game, so no color, so you just have your green screen. But if you played this on the Super Game Boy, which is how I played it, you could make use of the Super Game Boy palettes. It did not have a built-in game palette like some of the games did, especially Game Boy.
That's what I'm showing right here. That's what you'd get it right here. Basically, he's kind of pink. The ground's a little green. There's some blue in the water.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's one of the ones I went with. I think it was like Super Game Boy Palette E or something like that. You could flip through them. But I definitely recommend, if you're playing this, especially if you're emulating it, definitely use your Game Boy palettes. I'm not sure if on the Nintendo Online, I don't know. I got to see.
Good question. I don't know if they use that or not. That's a good question.
I would assume so, but I've assumed wrong before.
Well, we've all been on the wrong end of an assume stick. Okay.
But how I played this one this week was primarily on my Game Boy operator, because the Game Boy operator that we talked about also has it has an emulator built into the software, and I think you just Gambat or something like that. Yeah.
So what do you just fire that out to HDMI or something, and you just play it like a normal game? Or
well, you just play it on the PC. So it's not like a standalone device. It's a USB device, and it just connects to your machine. So it's a cart reader. So it just reads directly from the cart onto your PC, the USB.
That's kind of great.
And you just play it just like that.
I love that.
And I enjoyed that. Yeah. So it has all the built-in palettes you can choose from. You can choose to use the Super Game Boy. It's a really slick interface, and I liked it. It was a good way to experience it without running around my handheld. It was easy to capture.
Yep.
Even though I did put it on my analog pocket because I can stick real carts in there, and I did that. And since the battery's really good on all these, I did it that way. I did get. Now, one of the ones I did pick up was the Wario Land 3, which we'll talk about shortly, but I got the Japanese version because it also has English, and it was a third of the price.
Really?
Of the
You think it'd be more because it's got both, so it'd be more, right? You'd think.
Exactly. I don't know if people are just afraid to take the chance that it might not have the English version on it, but I had no trouble at all.
That's wild.
Picked the language right away. Said English. Let's go.
Yeah.
Wario.
I mean, and we're only since it's Game Boy, we're not talking about voice stuff anyway. But 3 had some voices, or sorry, 4. And then from then on, Wario was very voiced. Like, look, if I'm playing, name the game, and I'm picking Wario. If you say to me, Scott, we're playing Mario Kart, who you going with? Wario. Right. Every effing time. Wario. If I'm playing Mario Golf, if I'm playing Mario Tennis, Super Strikers, or whatever the hell that was called, the soccer one, any of these where the roster, like Mario Party, any of them, you pull out the roster, and if Wario is in the roster, Scott Johnson is picking Wario every damned time. And I can't even explain why, but I do every time.
And this might not apply to everybody who's listening. Maybe don't know this dynamic, but I was always a Daffy Duck fan because Bugs Bunny was perfect, right? And so, it's like in second fiddle was Daffy Duck, and he's always just trying to do the best he can. Sure, he's a jerk, but he's got to be. He
doesn't know what else to do
against freaking Bugs Bunny, right? What choice does he have?
Yeah, he's like people. People are.
He's like people. He's like people.
You can try to compete with the guy you think is better than you at everything, or you can be yourself. Yeah. And that's what Daffy Duck did. That's what Wario does. Wario is just who he is. Okay. So get off his back, leave him alone. And I realize if you don't have Wario, or if you don't have Mario, you don't have Wario. So I know you need the little, hey, Princess Bear. I know you need him. Right? And I'll play him in his games where it's just him. But if you tell me Wario's on the menu, I'm in. Let's go. That guy's great. I'm in. Subversive.
Only thing I will say one more thing about this first Wario Land game is the power-ups. You kind of can upgrade and downgrade based on the area that you're at that may benefit you if you come across a helmet. So you may get the jetpack, but then you may also discover that the jetpack can be a hindrance because of the level you're on. Maybe there's a lot of things that are in the air or things dropping from the ceiling, and you can shrink down to mini Wario. So you start out as kind of a bigger Wario with a little bit of charge attack. But if you get hit, You won't die, but you will turn into mini Wario, which sucks.
And it does suck. You have a cool little mohawk, though. I don't know if you noticed, and I don't know if this is still canon.
Yeah, that is so weird.
If it's canon or not, can someone tell me if it's canon that under the yellow hat is a mohawk? Because that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, Mario with his full, luscious Italian hair, and then Wario's just got like a rant strip right there. It'd be better if he was bald, like a full male pattern baldness, and all he has is the sides.
That'd be even better. Like in the middle would be like that male pattern. Oh, that would be good too. I would like that. But in this one, you're gaining. You say you get the hats, and you're collecting as many coins as you can, because the coins determine. And this was pretty forward thinking at the time. You didn't have a lot of multiple endings in Game Boy games, but this one allowed you to make multiple endings based on how many coins you collect. You could get your castle that you would end up with could be as insulting as a birdhouse, a tree trunk, a log cabin, a pagoda, a castle, or a planetoid. You could have a whole planet to yourself, because you really got to kill it there. You got to get coins. You got to finish all the treasures and the courses. And
there's a lot to get done. Yeah, I watched the speed run of the first game this week just to kind of see how the speed running world looked at that thing. And man, people are fast at that game. They just tear through.
Oh, dude, yeah, you can. There's a lot of shortcuts. I found a few myself just on accident, especially when I started getting stuff like the jetpack with the helmet and stuff. So I mean, that kind of stuff you can just bypass everything. It's like, what do I need to clear anything? I ain't worried about it, because I'm not trying to get the biggest house or the planetoid. I'm just trying to get from to the next level.
Yeah,
and you can fly through this thing.
My only real beef with actually all the games, not just the first game, is that if you have kind of a set up muscle memory in your head of how you play Mario platformers, this is going to throw you for a loop a little bit.
Yeah,
because the charge thing is weird and different, and with two buttons set up, you've got jump, charge, you shoot stuff too with the helmets on. Like, it just can get confusing, and it's not the buttons you're used to. In Mario, which again that's also very Wario, though, isn't it? To say, hey, let's upside down all the shit you're used to and play this new guy. It's kind of that idea.
Yep. It's good.
I like that, though. Well, let's jump to game number 2.
But did people.
Yeah. By the way, just real quick here, different helmets you could have. No pot, which is mini Mario. You're going to die. You can't do anything. All right, you're screwed.
Nope.
It's really frustrating. I hated it, that part. Garlic pot Wario, big with shoulder bumping action. Garlic plus bull pot is bull Wario. You charge stuff like a bull. You don't need new moves for that. They just replace the charge move, so it's fine. Jet pot is you get to jet around. It's great for levels with like disappearing platforms, stuff like that. And finally, the bomb pot, or no, dragon pot missed that one. I was showing that earlier. That's the one you can breathe fire even underwater. It's kind of nice. And then the bomb pot where you blow stuff up with your bombs, which makes sense.
And you can also, that's how you clear your saves.
Oh, no way. Really?
Which I did. Yeah. So at the when you first start, you have like 3 slay spots. You got 3 save spots.
Yeah.
And then there's a fourth, this like a pipe. And if you jump down that, you'll turn it into a bomb. And then you just go to whichever save spot you have and blow it up, and you can save and But hopefully you saved it. You've backed up your save.
Sure. Yeah. And if you're doing emulation, hopefully you've done a little quick save just to be safe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do what you can.
Do some save states. Save the whole dang thing.
Do some save states. Okay, let's move down now to Wario Land 3. Wario Land 3, Game Boy again, and Game Boy Color this time. 1998 is the year. And I had never played this
Wario
one.
Land 2.
Did I say 3? I meant 2. I keep saying 3.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep saying 3. What's wrong with me saying 3 all the time? I hate it.
3 is popular.
This is 2, and 2 is the one I hadn't played any of prior to this week. I just never got around to it. Played 1 back in the day, played 3 back in the day, 2 got missed. 4 I played a ton of. 4 and I are the best of friends. And we'll get to 4 in a minute. But 2, which came out in 98, was a pretty big evolution. They got rid of the traditional health stuff. You're kind of invincible. The game's more of a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Less of a survive game. It's hard to explain, but how did that land on you when you first played it? Were you just like, oh,
it's the same. 2 is a lot more compact. So instead of going with like this large world, you're kind of in this smaller area, and you end up doing a lot of environmental destruction. So you destroy walls because there's coins. Still plenty of coin collecting. Actually, it's like almost a collectathon because that's what you're doing. You're trying to recover. Someone is trying to take your castle. So you're trying to run around and get all of your coins together so that you can, save your stuff.
Well, plus he's a prick and wants everything for himself. That's half the idea is that these coins are mine.
He's greedy. Yeah, he's greedy. He's like the Scrooge McDuck of Nintendo Land, right? He's greedy, and that's fine. That's what he's supposed to do. But it's your coins, dadgummit. You're gonna protect him from these dumb pirates. But like you said, you don't really die, but really it's a collectathon, and I kind of like the fact that you just, since the charge is so satisfying, this time your arm like gets really big and it flashes and you just ram through stuff.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of anything slowing you down.
They got rid of the hats too. No more helmets, no more hats.
No, none of that hat BS. You just start with all the powers, and I like that. You just
you just kind of go. I have to say, after playing it this week for the first time, I'm sad I didn't give it more of a shot. I really enjoyed it. I still think probably 3 is the stronger of the first 3, but 2 is the right direction, it turns out. And I don't know why I didn't play it in the first place, but I didn't.
If you're picking up one and just want to have some fun and play, there's Wario Land 2 is fine. Like I said, I liked it. I like the fact that you just this is a collectathon.
Yep. Hidden treasures, coins everywhere, non-linear progression. You're not just going left to right all the time. This really takes off and kind of becomes its own thing, which I think it needed to do. I think the first game did a good job of separating itself from Mario with some basic stuff, but it was still like, well, if you get hit, you're going to die. And if you do this, you still got to play. You got to play like Mario, kind of. In this game, it's like, nah, what if we just let him football his way through this place?
What if he's the badass at home and somebody's trying to invade his home? Well, I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to kick your trash. And this was the first that was on the Game Boy Color, so you got a real color palette. So you could still choose to play it on Game Boy and Super Game Boy and choose your palettes and stuff. But there was a real Game Boy Color palette, which I was kind of surprised. I kept thinking that the color palettes were a little more limited on the Game Boy, but the Game Boy Color, but I thought it was actually pretty decent.
I'm a big fan of Game Boy Color palette. I think it's good.
No backlight, but what you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Exactly. Or you play it on your GBA when you got
Super
it.
Game
Although no, your GBA, your first GBA had no backlight either. I still can't believe they launched with that backlight. That's so crazy.
Yeah. That was. I remember that being a big thing at the time.
Yeah, it's like, what are you guys doing? This is your 32-bit handheld. You're competing with this PSP thing coming out. What are you doing? Yep. And they're like, oh.
Until we got the SP.
Yeah, I got to wait for the SP, and then it was the best thing on the planet, but took them a minute. Yeah. Same thing with the DS. Same thing. Had to wait for that DS Lite, baby.
I was never a big fan of the Game Boy Advance first one. I was never a fan of the shape. I didn't like the shape.
Yeah, it's shaped weird.
It felt good in my hand, but it looked ugly.
Agreed. That purple one,
yeah, and that purple. Oh, that purple was. Oh,
but that SP model, you were like,
that thing was. Silver SP flip, man. I felt like a grown up.
It was real good. And then they were like, hey, guess what our next handheld is? It's this dual screen thing that opens like a clamshell, kind of like the DS. I'm like, sweet, that sounds great. Yeah. And then they debut the DS, and I go, that looks like ass. That is the ugliest case. Where's mine? Somewhere back here. It is so ugly, dude.
Original.
So ugly.
It wasn't great.
And then the Lite comes out, 8 months later, and is amazing.
The Lite was, dude. You felt, if you did not, when the Lite came out and you'd already bought the other, you were like, oh, that's it. I got to go get the Lite.
Yeah. At least the 3DS was like good enough at launch, and then later got larger and thinner. Those are good, changes, but this was massive. The difference between the SP and the freaking chunky ass mother effing GBA. Oh my gosh, so lame. Anyway, 2's good. It's a good one of these. All right.
Yeah, it's good. It's good enough.
But then comes 3. 3's the one everybody says is the bomb. That's the one you play, and nobody says, no one says this is the worst one.
Right.
I think I agree. I think 4 still. I'm a sucker for the GBA, and I just think the improved like SNES style graphics are just so huge that it's hard to ignore it. But 3's got a lot going on for it, and I like it. 3's good. What's your take? Did you end up liking 3 the most in the end?
so the jury's still out because so I played 2. This is one thing you don't want to do. Don't play 2 and then immediately play 3. You will be disappointed because 2 says you can do anything. Here's all the powers, just have them all, and you're invincible and just crush-a-thon everything. Cool. And then they throw you in 3 and they're like, you got nothing. You got no powers at all. And we're going to make it even more obvious because the first 5 or 6 stages, you're going to be passing by stuff going, I can't do anything with that. I see the thing, but I can't do anything with that. And you're like, well, maybe I can. And you try, and then you get frustrated because you can't. You have to keep on going. And slowly you start getting more powers. But what you discover along the way is before you collect the powers, one of the ways that you can solve some of the puzzles is by being affected by the enemies. So unlike most games where if the enemy hits you, that's bad. Here, sometimes the enemy can hit you and you might turn into a zombie, which allow you to pass through the floors so that you can complete levels.
It's part of the puzzle.
So
yeah.
That's part of the puzzle, understanding that being poisoned or zombified is actually what you want to do, because you'll get zombified, but then you have to, if you go back into the light, you turn back into regular Wario.
Yeah.
And so it's a discovery process. And there's a overworld part to this too, where you jump around and you kind of start getting it. It's like, oh, this is not necessarily linear. I'm going to do a lot of backtracking. And if you like backtracking or are fine with backtracking, then
maybe
good news.
Maybe you're into it. Sure.
Wario Land 3.
Yeah, maybe you're really, really, really into it. I don't know. I don't want to assume anything, but Wario is, or these Wario games in particular, are very much about thinking. It's more of a ironically, since he's such a jerk and he's so like, I just want to break stuff or whatever. They're the thinking man's Mario games. Like, these levels aren't just hop around and miss the bad guys and get all the coins. Oh my gosh, look at his face. That's amazing.
Right. Oh, I love. So this is one of the most animated. It's one of the funniest ones of all the series, because there's times when he gets stuck and he swells up and he floats.
Yeah, he got stung. He got stung by like a what do you call those? What's
flying jellyfish?
Jellyfish. It's a jellyfish stung him, and so he got all puffy and allergic to it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and he'll turn into a zombie, and that'll change his animations and his ability to move, and he turns all green and stuff. So there's a lot of really fun things that happen along the way, as long as you don't let it frustrate you. And I did find myself occasionally getting frustrated because of there's like a flying ghost like you're watching right now that'll come down, and it's so annoying because you'll be almost through an area, and then one of these jerks will do something to you, and then you have to it throws you back out, and you have to circle back around. You're like, no.
Well, that's how they get you, because the game doesn't really kill you, right? Like,
you don't really die, right?
It's a kind of death. Frustration death is what it is.
Right.
It's the kind of death you experience in hell. Like the idea of hell isn't that you've died. The idea is that it's horrible going there, and that's kind of what it's like with him. It's just set you back, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. It's like doing a corpse run.
But some of the things that they don't really explain too well, at least I didn't dig deep into the manual, but if you're just picking this up and playing, you may not realize there's a day-night cycle. So every time you go into an area from the overworld, it ticks forward on the day-night cycle. So
I didn't know that until you just said that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you'll enter an area and you're like, oh, okay, there's zombies here when I go in during the night. But then when you go in during the day, they're not zombies.
Oh, I thought it was random. I didn't realize. I feel stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, don't feel stupid, because it took me a little while to figure that out. And I was like, because I kept trying. I was like, you know what, dadgubbit, I'm gonna finish this stupid section here. I'm so sick of not making any progress. And I went back in a couple of times. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, if I go out and I come back in, it's this. When I go out and come back in, it's that. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's a day-night cycle. What's going on here? And I was like, oh, this is part of the problem solving. I'm like, oh, Jesus. And so another level of, going from 2, which was a pleasure of just running through and destroying stuff. This was guess what I want you to do next?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Jesus. But it was fun. I see why people like it. It's definitely challenging.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, just for funsies, here, look at I'm going to put this camera on you. Here's a camera on you.
Right.
Look, I got a little breathing Wario.
That's exactly me. Exactly the same face. That's like one of my favorites. I love that. His blown up face.
So good. Anyway, I think that 3 is pretty good. I think it's also everyone's high. It's the highest rated. If you go look at the scores and add them up, this one got the most points. Came out in 2000. So we are at the tail end of some Game Boy time. Feels like
you didn't feel cheated at all as far as the game length. Because sometimes you feel like, oh, they're just extending the game length. This one felt like the answer was there, but you just didn't see it, kind of like the day-night cycle.
Yeah.
And then you eventually say, oh, it wasn't necessarily they didn't give me the tools. I just didn't understand at the time. So yeah. It's good.
The speed one of Wario 3. I'm just going to look at the record. Wario Land 3, the best time is 43 minutes, 17 seconds. So this isn't like the old Mario days where it take you 4 minutes to do a speed run.
No.
You'll spend, upwards of an hour. Just if you're speed running the
backtracking.
thing. How long it would take?
Backtracking.
How long it would take just as a regular kind of casual run? I don't know, but
yeah,
I can tell you I didn't do it. I tried.
Well, it's funny because you have a feeling of progression because you can get in and through an area with a pretty straightforward clip, but then if you want to, there's all kinds of stuff you can see is hidden. It's like, oh, I see that coin flipping around over there. I need those coins. This is a greedy Wario game. I'm gonna need that to unlock mini games, which is really becoming a bigger thing. By the time you get to 3, it becomes huge in 4. But all the little mini games and stuff, you definitely want to play those. Those are fun. It's like golf in this one, I think. It's
like a little mini game with golf. Games. Although it isn't so much about being accurate as it is how hard you're hitting it. So it's about about the time, which is very Wario-like, right? Like it's all about power.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun, and it made me want a proper 2D plane mini golf game with Wario, like a Wario mini golf game. Yeah. No, I don't mean like Mario Golf where, yes, he's in that. I get it. But I'm saying like, give me one of these with him doing like side to side, left to right kind of golf with like obstacles and stuff. I'd be so into that, dude. I play the living shit out of that. Nintendo ain't going to give me what I'm asking for, but that's what I would ask for right there.
No, that's the problem is if you're a Wario fan, you're a Wario fan. But if you're outside of that bubble, nobody cares.
Nope.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Not even Miyamoto. R&D1 had to come up with this game anyway, because Miyamoto wasn't strong enough to do it, I suppose. I mean, he actually produced a lot of these stuff later on.
Well,
guided them, but still.
But I mean, this is the stage. My mic went out. This is the stage. This is the stage where he starts to his role is changing at the company.
Yeah,
he's no longer like. He makes everything. It's more like he's also going to oversee this. He's more in charge of a more team atmosphere. That would also jump back and forth because when new consoles would come out, he was kind of relied on to be the guy that like ran the next big killer app. Mm-hmm. So the next big Mario game, Mario 64 would be an example of that. Later on, Ocarina of Time, without his leadership, that game does not happen the way it does. Like just a different time for him though. He's starting to kind of be a manager and a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those two things at once. Which maybe
he was stepping aside, letting more geniuses come in.
Yeah. Yep. Which turns out when Miyamoto's your mentor and everybody's kind of following his lead, turns out he's got a lot of good stuff to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had some experience that'll help you continue the tradition at Nintendo. Exactly.
Yep.
There's nobody like him. The day he passes away, it's gonna be a mournful day in games. We're all gonna have a rough time.
Agreed.
So stick around forever.
That day. What
is he, 60 something now?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's getting any younger, but he ain't getting any younger.
I'm not saying it, but he's not.
Yeah. I ain't saying she's a gold digger. All right, check this out, dude.
Right.
I got this right here. This music. Listen to this. Whoa. We got an uptick in quality here.
Major.
I can hear Wario talking. I can hear him yelling and complaining about everything. There's way too much timed stuff in 4. I forgot how much I hate the timed stuff.
Oh yeah, once you clear a certain area, you're collecting chunks, and once you collect enough chunks, all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's go. You got to get out of there. Rough.
Let's go have a bad day. Yeah, it's a good game though. I think this is like top notch in terms of presentation. The graphics are great. The animation is great. There's these new momentum systems. But there's also a lot more control going on. You got to use your trigger buttons along with stuff where that was not a thing before. Or at least wasn't with GBA, or sorry, Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Game Boy.
So, new ways of playing, get your head around it, forget about what you know about 3. 4 is a very different animal. But in the end, I really think 4 is amazing. It's great once you get the hang of it.
It's way more complicated. I mean, the first whole level is nothing but a tutorial on how to control all the things you'll be doing with Wario, like all your charges, your different kind of charges, your built-up charges, your rolls. You got a football thing that he throws now. You'll be collecting like shards for each area. You're at a pyramid, by the way. This suddenly appeared for some reason.
Yeah.
And now you've got like flying bird keys and stuff you have to collect, and they kind of follow you along. It's wild.
It's a very weird. This one's like a drug-induced piece of weirdness. This game.
Yeah, but I love it. I love every minute of it. The colors. This is what I finally. This is the palette that I recognize when I see Wario with that.
Yeah,
that
he doesn't have black
hat.
Doesn't have black pants on anymore. This is kind of his outfit from here on out. This is it.
Yeah.
This is what we have now.
Wario complete.
Yeah, I did this. Here's some art that I did a long time ago. But here's
nice.
Here's Wario golfing. And he's got
there it is. You even then you was like, I need me some more. I need Wario to do some golf.
I love
exactly
it.
What I need.
To me, having him out there golfing, is there anything better in this world? No. The answer is no.
Right.
I mean,
I always had the weirdest story setups. We didn't talk about the story setup in the previous one, but essentially you found like a shrunken toy thing and you got sucked into the world. That was one of the reasons why you didn't have any of your powers and stuff, and you kind of had to build it back up. And this one, a pyramid shows up and doesn't involve golf, Scott, for some weird reason. I don't know why they wouldn't give us some Wario golf here, but it does have baseball.
Yeah, it does have baseball. There's a lot of baseball in there. A lot of Mode 7 style effects. I don't know what we called them on the GBA, but similar to what some of the scaling stuff.
Scaling and rotating and
which looked cool. The boss fights I thought were more interesting. Here's one now that we're looking at. But we are back to Wario having life bars or life hearts.
I think is this the first time in this series that he has any type of health bars?
Well, the first game did, right? Because
you collected those hearts, but did you die once you ran out of hearts?
Oh, good point. No, it was getting hit. Right. They did more like the Mario thing where you got hit and turned small and then you were going to die. That's how they did that.
Right.
So you're right. It wasn't quite the same, but this thing's more like almost like hearts, like Zelda hearts.
Yeah.
You know? Which is a little weird. And you will die. Yeah, you can die. Die, will die, must die. You're Wario.
I did die many times.
And did die. Did a lot of dying. I like it, though. I still think this one is worth playing. And if you're just like can't go all the way back to the GBA or the GB titles and you just really want something that feels a little more modern, this is a pretty good one to play.
And guess what?
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. We're recording this on Valentine's Day 2025, and Nintendo Online has released this to their Nintendo Online gaming service if you have the GBA add-on. So I think it was like $4.99 for the online service, and I think you can add on the N64, the Game Boy, and all that stuff for X dollars or whatever. But it's dropped, and you can, if you got that service, you can go ahead and download this and play it on your Switch.
One of my favorite things about Steam is it lets curators create groups that are basically anything you want. You could say, I just want games where they got ducks in them. Okay. And they'll do that for you. Somebody has made an entire grouping called Wario-likes. And I'll share these real quick. Yeah, this stuff's awesome. And I played a few of these, but this Beard Blade, I've not played it, but I hear it's quite a good one of these.
Oh, I did play Beard Blade once.
Did you? I never did.
Or at least I played it when we were doing the Boob Show, I believe. I don't know if we actually covered it during the show, though.
Came out in 20. Let's see. It came out of EA or early access in 2024. So it probably was an early access thing we talked about way back then.
Yeah.
But it's got kind of very similar mechanics. Let's see. There's another one on here I was going to mention that I have played. Though the Shanty games, those are definitely of the vibe. Pizza Tower. Here it is. This game is awesome. Overwhelmingly positive, by the way. This game is probably the most true to the formula. And also just looks like it was made for the Genesis, weirdly. It's like there's a style here going on that's like, I don't know, cool 90s. Spot or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very that 90s animated to Genesis 30. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And this art style is very like Nickelodeon at the time, like all that stuff. And this is a fairly new game. Came out in just 2022. Fantastic game. Steam Deck ready. Overwhelmingly positive reviews. This guy made a lot of money. It's like a single dev sold well over 60,000 of these things. There's 59,000 reviews. Whoever that is a millionaire now. So good job. Well done.
Platform until you play some mini games.
Until you drop.
Platform, collect, crush stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Wario.
Another one called Action Blast. This just came out last December. This is supposed to be awesome. I haven't tried it yet.
Blast.
Been hearing good things. They included Shovel Knight, but I don't think that counts. Shovel Knight's not quite the same. Dude, it's an awesome game. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, I love Shovel Knight.
But this one here, Duke Dashington, I'm kind of curious about. Came out in 2018,
and he even looks like he kind of has that Wario, because that's kind of how Wario is, right? He's kind of that. I'm a 20s fighter. And
look at me, say yeah. He's definitely got that vibe. Plus, look at it, this kind of chunky graphics, closer camera.
Yeah,
like this looks like they're doing the Wario thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Mario, they're totally doing it. They're totally aping that style. You're definitely doing all the things you would do in a Wario world.
It's kind of I want to check it. I kind of want to play it. Yeah. What's the price on this? $5. What's
the rating on that thing?
It's only
how much?
$5 is all.
Just $5. What it is giving it away. Washington.
It's got a 93% rating. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Nothing but good reviews down here. Look at these people going, yeah, it's a PC.
I like it.
Oh, it's a remaster of a 2014 mobile game. But everyone really likes it. Yeah, lots of love for it here. 2018, so it's a little older, but I could go for some of this. I'm putting that on.
We just got through talking about 2001's Wario Land 4. I think we like old stuff.
Yeah, like old stuff is cool. We're into it. Well, that's your look at that. There's a couple other mentions I'd like to make. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. This is where you find out that Wario is the antagonist. This is his birth as a villain. And I think that's important just historically because he's one of the greatest ancillary characters of all time. And I will fight anyone who says different. So F off or fight me.
Fight him with fisticuffs.
Yeah, let's go right like this. Like this.
Yeah, like fisticuffs. Yeah, absolutely. Just like a Wario.
I need like a big curly mustache.
Big curly mustache. Wait, but it's like it got electrified.
Yeah, it's all jaggedy. Oh man, that was the funnest thing about drawing this golf thing was drawing that mustache. I had to do my own twist on it. I didn't want it to look like Mario or like Nintendo drew it.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway,
because it couldn't get you.
Highly recommend sitting down and drawing Wario. Let the time go by. Lovely. Yeah. Wario Land for Virtual Boy. Did want to make a mention of this because it existed and looked real red, as you can see.
Real red, yeah.
This was.
I didn't bother emulating this week. I'll just take their word for it that it was Wario Land.
For what it was okay because it was still another side scroller. It just was done in this pseudo 3D layered thing that the Virtual Boy did. And I mean, I have to admit, it's kind of cool looking. Like I almost wish this was, I assume I can emulate these without having this stupid headset, right?
Yeah, totally. You can totally.
I've never tried it. Yeah. I'd be really curious about it.
I've tested it a little bit and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, I wish I could use some color palettes.
Yeah, I don't want it's too red. Easy. Yeah, it's too red.
Right. Like, I've never played a Virtual Boy, but I've always imagined I know enough about how I play current VR games, and then when I take my headset off, it's kind of for a minute everything seems weird. I just imagine that after looking at red for like an hour and then taking it off, everything red in the universe just disappears and everything it's got to look really funky. Yeah. I don't know.
Because it was clearly like from a movement standpoint, animation, sprite work and stuff. It was a nice. It had good hardware to do that.
It's good.
Look at this 4-gram background stuff. This is cool, man.
Wait, just too far. It just
they were ahead of themselves, and it just didn't work out. Yeah,
it just didn't work out.
But yeah, they should revive this and make it playable and normal screen with good color.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Because I would play it. I would play it right now. I would. Oh, they brought.
Right now I would.
They brought back the hats, so the hats are back in this one. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm assuming since it was, I don't know what year this was released, but I'm assuming it was probably around Wario Land 2 and 3. I'm assuming it was probably right around the same time, right?
Yep,
yeah,
something like that. Well, there you have it.
Something like that.
Our deep, hard look into the world of Wario Land. Now time.
I like how you said that.
For this.
Destroy it.
It's time for Guess Our Game. We take old games, we play audio from those games, and then we try to guess what they are. I've actually done Wario Land 4 for Guess Our Game once, years ago.
I think I've done a Wario as well. I can't remember which one, though, but yeah.
Can't remember either. It was the week before I did.
This is Ken Griffey Jr.
It's before I did him. So let's get into it. This is the way this works. We give each other a hint in audio form. We tell each other the platform and year, and then 4 possible answers. And each of us tries to guess what each other brought. I'm going to play mine first. This is from the year 2000. The year 2000.
There we go. We can stop ourselves.
And then I'm going to say PC, but there were ports. That's important to know. Okay. So PC, but there were ports. Here comes.
PC, but there were ports. All right.
Here comes your audio. Let's see how you do.
Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh, yes. Most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Okay. It goes back and forth like that. It's all very subterfugey. Here are your options. Let's see if the chat's got anything yet. Nope. Is it, Brian, A, Deus Ex, B, Final Fantasy IX, C, Resident Evil Code Veronica, or D, Grandia 2? Which of those do you think that audio is from?
The thing where you said PC and ports kind of makes me think that this would have been it's the year 2000. It definitely would have been the time of the Dreamcast. And as we know, Dreamcast was based on Windows CE, so you could easily port PC and Dreamcast. There was a Code Veronica Resident Evil on the Dreamcast, and it was talking about some disease and stuff, but I also know that Deucey X was also involved with some similar topics, and I want to say it was on several platforms as well. So I usually go. All right, even though I shouldn't, I'm gonna go since C, Resident Evil Code. Is it C?
Let's find out if it's C.
I just don't like it quite is.
It might be C. Is it C? It's not C. Oh, you should have gone with your gut. It was Deus Ex, the first Deus Ex game. Started out on PC, Unreal Engine, Ion Storm, and I can't remember who the other studio or publisher was, but Ion Storm was like the former id people and all that. And it is still awesome. The thing I'd forgotten about that game, though, is that voice is the same character or the same actor that does the Adam Jensen voice in the newer games. Right. And I didn't realize that. I didn't know he played the old voice, but
I didn't either.
That game was a hell of a game. Such a cool game.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game. I should have probably got that.
Yeah. Well, you were close. And I thought I kind of thought you were going to go that way. But
I think what threw me off was when he started talking about the ambrosia stuff. And I'm like, I was getting my wires crossed. I was like, which one would they applying that? I can't remember.
That's why I put Code Vagina. That's why I put Code Veronica. Frick. Why did I say that? Code Veronica
I love it.
In there is because I knew it would throw you with the virus thing. All right, Brian.
You did good.
Let's do yours. Tell me my year. Tell me my platform, please.
All right, break out the Sega Genesis or your Mega Drive, wherever you may live. The year is 1995, and here's my game clip.
All right. Getting like a Doctor Who vibe at first. Okay, I like this music a lot.
I love.
Is there some? Let's see.
Yeah. All right, ready for some options?
Yeah, let's give me some options.
All right, the options are A, The Adventures of Batman and Robin, B, Warlock, C, Demolition Man, or D, The Comic Zone.
All right, Comic Zone's awesome, but I'm not sure that's it.
Got it covered.
Demolition Man? For the based on
Man.
the one based on the movie, right? Obviously.
Correct. There's a Warlock movie too.
Shit. All right, I'll tell you the two I'm torn between. It's either The Adventures of Batman and Robin or Demolition Man.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, would you have done this C thing just to annoy me or not?
C? No, C.
I'm going to say you did A, Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Is the answer A, The Adventures of Batman and Robin, the animated series then brought to the Sega Genesis Mega Drive? Well, Scott, yeah, you did it. Good job.
I got it. Woo!
Yes.
That's not the same song as this one. Here, let me play this real quick here. This is a remix of a Batman game, Batman and Robin, Big Boss remix.
Right.
Let me try. That's not that, is it? That same? Is that just
So that's a variation on the theme of all that music you would get in the Adventures of Batman and Robin cartoon, which we need, not the cartoon, but there was several versions of the Adventures of Batman and Robin that made it to video systems, and we probably need to cover it sometime.
Video systems, I like that. Sound like my
video
uncle.
Systems.
What kind of video system you got there, son?
Video game systems.
Well done to me, and badly to you. You did bad today. I did great. We did good though. Hey, by the way, welcome to Retro, another Wario game. Welcome to WarioWare Touched for the DS. The Nintendo DS's attempt to bring back the excitement and love that the GBA games came with a little less excitement. It was still a very good game, but the GBA games they're still the GOAT. They're so good.
Yeah,
Twisted,
I mean, we were getting into with the DS with the touch. You knew from the title, it being touched, that they were going to be using the gimmick of the touch stuff, which can be fun, but is kind of limiting. So if you like that stuff, but released on February the 14th, Valentine's Day, 2005. So on
this day, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I bought
Wario and Valentine's is connected.
I bought it day of, but Wario, the first WarioWare and then WarioWare Twisted on the GBA were kind of my jam. The problem with Twisted was Twisted had a built-in, what do you call that thing in your phones?
Gyroscope.
Gyroscope. Thank you. Yes, had a rudimentary gyroscope built into the cartridge, not the device. So the DS did not, or GBASP did not support the movement. The cart did. Yeah. So when you go to play that ROM now, Twisted is useless. Or not Twisted. Is it Twisted?
Yeah, Twisted.
Twisted is useless. It's pointless because you don't have the cartridge if you're not doing it that way. So that is that one.
Right. So.
That's a 1-to-1. If you don't own the cartridge, you are not playing that game right.
Well, actually, they have some patches for it, and I've played this before. And you can use your controller bumpers in a lot of instances and create an effect somewhat like that.
See, now that's cool.
They've done this with a couple of the gyroscope games in the past.
Did some hackery business there. I like that.
Yeah, some hackeries to kind of give you the emulation. I think you could also do maybe if you had the PS5 controller too. I think I've seen something about that. I never dug into that, but I'm assuming that since it's got that
all 6-axis thing,
tilt,
yeah,
and stuff. So
remember when that was a thing? That was like a big selling point.
Stuff.
Our controller can kind of do this, and you can get a guy on a tightrope, and it's like he's balancing across the thing. It's like, yeah, that sounds great, Sony. How you really going to use this? And then they didn't.
Right. We've got some wands with little globes on the end of them. You can shoot like you got a bow and arrow. It's gonna be the next thing.
And they were definitely better.
Controller.
They were definitely better than Wiimotes, but they were. Yeah. They still never made killer apps for them. Plus, they were add-ons. See, the advantage the Wii had is they ship with those stupid things. When you have to make it an add-on, like the original Kinect for Xbox 360, you're going to sell a tiny amount compared to what your install base is. So it's never a guarantee. It's almost always a guarantee that you won't sell enough to get innovative titles out of it. It just bums me out when I see it. And people are like, oh, did you hear about that new peripheral? And I'm like, well, let's see how that goes. And it goes exactly the same as it always goes. Nobody's using their
only going to go so far.
Nobody's using their Wii Fits or their what was the add-on more recently for Nintendo? Dude, that wheel thing. Great. People like it. It's not like it wasn't bad. It's not like it's bad. I don't mean it's bad. It's just you're not going to have them 1-to-1 because the device didn't ship with them. So you got one game. And that's it. Anyway,
when Brian disappears, he's going to grab it.
Oh shit. Oh, you have that wheel thing? Those were hard to get for a while. During the pandemic. Uh-oh. Well, see, there's your problem.
Yeah, they were. You can use this like a Thigh Master.
Yep. It's a good birth control device. You just jam it up your hoo-ha.
Yeah. Just jam it right there. Yeah. It sure is a good birth control device. Use one of these and you're guaranteed not to get any for Valentine's Day.
No, those things were hard to. I remember in the pandemic they were really tough to get a hold of because
they really were. Them. I remember that. Yeah. These were fun though. I mean, you needed some activity around the house and you can run and do all your you got to run, jump, and do the squeezy things. And
they had that RPG game that you played with it. That was sort of like,
yep. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember what the deal was. You'd fight with it, with that ring. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yep.
What was that called? It's called Ring Fit Adventures. Is that it?
Oh, I think that's it. I think you got it.
I pulled that right out of my head. Look at that.
Yeah, pull that right out of your head. That's what I was going to say. Pulled it right out of your head, not your ass.
The Kinect. What's funny is the Kinect 2 was shipping with Xbox Ones, and that still didn't ensure that thing working either.
Yeah, there was bundles and stuff they sold at a pretty decent price, and I forgot what high quality the Kinect was though. I fired up my 360 and a Kinect recently to play the Kinect Adventure or whatever it is, and I forgot how it has to scan you, and I forgot how much space you have to have. Oh my god,
very picky. Very picky.
Yeah, it's like you need to clear out everything. Yep. You need you can't even be closer than 6 to 8 foot or something. I think because it's like you got to clear some space. Yep. But it's pretty neat. It scans you and everything. It goes scan. Just pretty neat little body scanner.
Yep. And now the new conversation is about how the PlayStation VR 2 is not selling very well because, again, it's an add-on. They didn't buy it day one. Yeah. This is how this works with consoles. PC players are used to adding things to their stuff. Well, the console people are like, no, I just wanted the box. What else? Don't give me something else.
Give me the box.
Anyway.
Give me the box.
Well, there you have it. What was that? Oh, Welcome to Retro we did. That's what that was.
Welcome to Retro.
Welcome
now this.
to the treasure room.
Forgot where we were. All right. Some listener feedback. Why not? Let's do this here. This is a text from Josh. And he says this. He sent this to 801-471-0462 and says, I am a fan of your podcast here in Australia. And there's like a little, what are they called? Kangaroo icon there.
Kangaroo.
Couldn't think of what they were called for a hot second. Yeah, a little muscular rat man.
A wallaby.
Sure. Any of the dingo. Something like that.
A dingo ate your baby. I got
Shrimps on the Barbie. Anyway, says, what is your preferred digital store to play retro PC games on between Steam and good old games? I am 35 and only really been a PC gamer for the last 3 years or so. Growing up, didn't really play many games, and now I have been slowly building a library of older PC games from the 90s and onward, says Josh. For me, if you're talking about the really old stuff, and a curated, like, they're taking good care of those things. Good Old Games, their whole existence is based on this. I think Good Old Games is the place to go. It's also DRM free, right? They're not, having to worry about any of that kind of crap. Whereas Steam may get compilations and collections sooner, stuff that's newer, like this Ninja 5.0 things coming there first, things like that. But if you're looking for the old stuff, I think GOG is your way to go.
Yeah, Good Old Games does a lot, especially if you're talking about PC gaming during the DOS era. Their DOS box setup and configurations are typically the source for what they put on Steam. Yeah. So you're going to get, and they update and manage that stuff a lot more often. So, but of course, there is a convenience to Steam. The Steam store is a lot easier to use than Good Old Games Galaxy. And so if you get the right game, I kind of check both out a lots of times. And if it has been something that has been modernized to have a modern installer, but was built for Windows anyway and runs fine, Steam usually works fine there. But Good Old Games typically is going to have a more authentic and curated experience as opposed to Steam.
And no DRM. That's a key thing. DRM. Yeah, you download it, you own it. It's yours to take anywhere you want, do anything you want, run it on anything. No internet, no problem. Just run it. It's yours.
That's a great question. I'm glad you're PC gaming at 35. That's great.
Nothing wrong with that. Hell yeah, dude. That'd be a great fun time to rediscover everything. Like what we do here on the show is a lot of rediscovery, but we definitely played them back then, most of them.
Yeah.
You're getting to see it new like it was first time, and that's awesome. I love that.
First time
every time. Our next discussion is going to be Pole Position from Namco/Atari. We'll talk about the game and the cartoon. But
this cartoon series, there sure was a whole season of it, and they ran it into the ground when I was growing up, and I loved it because it started out as Pole Position, do.
Yeah, it did.
Loved it.
My sister, not Wendy, my sister Misha's favorite video game of all time is, and will always be Pole Position. She loves that game.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about
Pole Position. I love Pole Position, especially at the arcade. You may have had the Atari version and went, that's junk. But the arcade was actually pretty solid game.
Yeah, the arcade game is. I mean, that to me, that's the OG. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the juice.
You don't want anything else. Right. I don't think anyway. But yeah, we're going to talk about Pole Position and its position in video game history. Turns out it's a big one. When it comes to racing games, is there even a racing genre without Pole Position? I say unto you, nay.
I say unto you, nay. Did you get that video I sent you? I would love to post that to the patrons or something.
Which one is it?
Video of there's 3 minutes or 5 minutes of that.
Can I play a little bit of it here? Can we play just some right now?
I think you'd be fine to just make sure that Getty Images doesn't show up.
Yeah, let's see.
You're talking about the cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon.
That too.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Just a little taste.
Rev up for excitement with the Pole Position team. Today's adventure, the Cove.
Which button do I press?
Press them all.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Press them all. That's the kind of cartoon this is.
Also, those buttons. Look at those buttons. Those look like buttholes or something. Those aren't buttons.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Or jingle bells.
Pole Position, if you've never seen it,
yeah.
One of the sisters, it's like a speed racer kind of thing where it's a family affair where they've got way more money and they're racing. One of them drives an old school Mustang and one drives like a new fancy car with like a computer face with like kit thing. And there's some kind of weird animal. It's kind of like a monkey, but not. It's great. It's great.
Everything had a monkey or a kind of like a monkey, but not. That was the rule.
Yeah.
It's the 80s. You made cartoons. Your cartoon needs to have a mascot, and it needs to be kind of like a monkey or not.
They were always fighting crime. It's in the intro song or the introduction. They're fighting crime. Like, why are they fighting crime? They're supposed to be
winning races. That's
drivers.
it.
What are they doing?
I know they really took liberties with it. So we'll talk about it and the game it's based on in full next week. Yeah. In the meantime, I want to thank some patrons. Patreon.com/playretro. We have brand new folks this week like Mike P., Sebster, and Samuel Labrie Poisson. Poisson?
Poisson.
It's something like that.
Samuel.
I'm sure I'm getting this wrong.
Sam.
Big thanks, though. If you want to join our Patreon, it's easy. Patreon.com/playretro. And you sign up, you get no commercials ever, pre-show content every week, and other monthly benefits. It can only be yours if you sign up today at patreon.com/playretro. Brian, any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
Yeah, I'm going to go hang out with Chim Chim for us today, my monkey racer friend, and we're going to, just go fight some crime. That's what we do.
Fantastic.
Pole position.
Position your pole, everybody. It's going to be.
Position your pole.
That's coming up soon. Between now and then, and that is to say next week, I would like everybody to go play something retro, and we'll see you then.
Once upon a time, there was a hero named you. Find the next step of your quest at frogpants.com.
I'm a Wario.